going on, everybody? Welcome back to TTP Sports. And the Phillies finish off the sweep of the Seattle Mariners. So that is all nice and dandy right there. The offense explodes late once again to win the game by a score of 11-2. Jesus Luzardo had a pretty good game on the mound tonight, or today actually. Played a 1 o'clock game, so today, not tonight. He had 12 Ks, very good. 6 innings of only 1 earned run baseball. Very good stuff from Luzardo. Definitely a lot of people were questioning why didn't Rob Thompson bring him out there for the 7th inning. I thought it was perfectly fine for Jesus Luzardo to finish the game after 6 innings, let him go off on a high note, which exactly was the case. But then, of course, David Robertson comes in first batter that he faces, allows a solo shot to make it a 3-2 Phillies lead. But then, thankfully, they managed to settle down from there, bullpen-wise, that is. And then your offense just completely exploded to put a bunch of runs up on the Mariners' bullpen to basically put the game out of reach to where at the end of the day, you don't have to use more of your high leverage arms. Matt Strom was originally warming up, but then you get to see Jose Alvarado for the first time since his suspension, and then you get Joe Ross to close out the game when the game was completely out of reach. Very, very good series from the Phillies. The game was definitely, I would say, offensively at first was very frustrating because they were leaving a lot of meat on the bones because they were basically having base runners in every single inning. But eventually, when the game was very close, when you get into that bottom of the 7th, bottom of the 8th inning, your offense came up clutch. They got a lot of hits. They were stringing hits together. They were scoring a lot of runs. And that put you over the top. And that completed a sweep of a good Seattle Mariners team that right now is definitely going through it. Phillies pitchers striking out a lot of Seattle Mariners hitters in this series. What was it? It felt like they struck out so many times. I think the Mariners struck out like at least 40 plus times in this series to begin with. Like that's combined with the Phillies starters and the bullpen. Each Phillies starting pitcher in this series had 10 plus strikeouts. It's just that crazy that the Mariners strike out that much. And then when I try to connect the dots, like, geez, are the Mariners just that not disciplined of a team? Do they strike out a lot? Then I go on the stats and then I look at the leaders in terms of teams that strike out the most. And yet the Mariners are like the 3rd worst team in terms of striking out in Major League Baseball. So, yeah, put 2 and 2 together. Makes sense. Makes sense why the Mariners struck out so much and why the Phillies had a lot of strikeout numbers in this series. But that doesn't take away anything from the starters. That doesn't take anything away from the bullpen. They were doing their job, and they were doing their jobs very good, besides really Orion Kerkering in yesterday's ball game. So, very good. Very good overall. Trey Turner had himself once again a very good game. He had 5 hits in today's game. Bryson Stott also had a very good game as well. Got a clutch hit for separating, getting some insurance runs in the late stages of the game. Kyle Schwarber had a home run as well late in the ball game to really just make everything explode right there. So overall, Max Kepler had a solo shot in this game. So the platooning, the rotating Phillies outfield is contributing every now and then. So that's also nice to see, even though you really can't guarantee that they're going to constantly produce like that, specifically guys from the outfield, like a Max Kepler, like a Nick Castellanos that went deep a couple of days ago and all that stuff. So it's not really guaranteed what's going to happen on those parts. But Trey Turner really looks like he is on a heater right now. He got his batting average back above 300. So that definitely shows you, even though it's a lot of singles, he did have a triple in today's game. He had a lot of singles after that as well. He also had the home run in this series. So his bat is definitely very hot as we are speaking. Kyle Schwarber continues to be Kyle Schwarber. Bryce Harper hitting the ball every place and all that stuff. JT Realmuto continues to swing the bat very well. Brandon Marsh, he's still getting hits every now and then. Definitely not as high as he was, but he's still, being productive, as you would say. Max Kepler still doing things when his number is called, even though it's not still Max Kepler at the end of the day. It was just a good series sweep. I'm not going to try to bring anything negative into this entire thing, even though the Phillies are probably going to be due for a very cold stretch offensively since they have had a lot of hits in this series. They've scored a lot of runs in this series, basically in the past 4 games. We, I don't want it to be another case where you have an off day tomorrow and then you have the weekend series with the Washington Nationals, and it's going to be the exact same thing that happened last weekend against the Nationals in DC, where your offense just completely did not show up. I would like, for you to take advantage of a team that is coming into town that is not good. You have to find you got to get your revenge basically against Washington for how poor you played in DC last weekend. And that would basically mean winning at least 2 of 3. I would love a sweep of the Nationals. Go, get 2 sweeps in a row right here. That would make people feel very good about themselves, especially when you're going into a series following Washington. You'll be going into Queens to play the Mets, who are getting hot themselves right now. So they're playing the Nationals currently. They won yesterday's ball game, but so we'll figure out what happens after this result with the Mets and the Nationals. You really can't control what the Mets are doing right now just because they're playing a team like the Washington Nationals. So in terms of the standings, what is it still like at 5.5 games at this point? It's probably 6 games right now. Prior to the results of what this Mets Nationals game is going to be. This game basically just started. It's in the bottom of the 2nd inning. So we really don't know what the case is going to be right there. But right now, you are winning the games that you were supposed to. You did your job in this series and then some against a very good Seattle Mariners team that's fighting for first place in the American League West, and a team that is notoriously for having good pitching. You definitely did bat around with their pitching staff this week, so that's very good to see. We'll just see. We all know what this team is. It still goes into what this team, when they're very good, they're very fun to watch, and when they're very bad, they're just not fun to watch at all. And we got the stretch right now where they are very fun to watch offensively. It's just how long is this going to last? And we really just can't guarantee how long this is going to last for this team. So right now, they have an off day tomorrow, and we'll see what happens when they do play the Washington Nationals this weekend. But if we just go over the things of today's game, the Mariners actually got on the board first in the top of the 1st inning, where the weirdest home run I've ever seen off the bat of Julio Rodriguez, the pitch from Jesus Luzardo was basically in the fucking dirt. And Rodriguez, I just golf swinged it out of the park. The ball was going to bounce off the dirt, off the plate, and all that stuff. And Rodriguez just golf swung it. So I guess he's preparing his golf swing for later on in the season when he's going golfing. So who knows what's going to happen there. But all else, Phillies responded instantly in the bottom of the 1st. Trey Turner with a leadoff triple, followed by a Kyle Schwarber sacrifice fly. Bryce then walked. JT then singled, so you had 1st and 2nd for Bowman Marsh, but nothing really happened there. Those guys stay left on base. Bottom of the 2nd inning for the Phillies. Bader reaches in on an infield single, then he advances to second base on a throwing error. Bryson Stott then doubles to bring home Bader to make it 2-1. Trey Turner singles, moves Stott over to third base. Turner then steals second, so you have 2nd and 3rd for Kyle Schwarber. Schwarber grounds right to the first baseman. Bryson Stott gets into a rundown between third and home base. Eventually gets tagged out, but it's once again 2nd and 3rd because Kyle Schwarber and Trey Turner went to 2nd and 3rd respectfully. But then Bryce Harper grounded out on the first pitch. Luzardo follows that up with a 1-2-3 top of the 3rd. Bottom of the 3rd inning, Alec Bohm with a one-out double, Marsh with a one-out single, so you have 1st and 3rd for Harrison Bader. He grounds into a double play on the first pitch. Top of the 4th inning, Julio Rodriguez, he leads off with a single, but then Jesus Luzardo gets a pickoff, catches Julio Rodriguez on the base pass, gets caught in between. So the free out right there, basically. Then he retires the next 2 guys. Bottom of the 1st, or bottom of the 4th, actually, Kepler with the leadoff solo shot, work to count. Puts the Phillies up 3-1. They get more base runners once again. Stott with a single, Turner grounds into a double play. Schwarber with a double, Harper with a walk, then JT flies out, so once again couldn't get the hits with runners in scoring position. Top 5, another 1-2-3 inning for Jesus Luzardo. Bottom 5, Phillies have 2 out base runners once again. Bader and Kepler with singles. Stott against the bullpen was not able to do anything. It was a good catch by Julio Rodriguez in center field. Made the diving catch to prevent some runs from scoring. Top of the 6th. After a throwing error by Alec Bohm with 1 out, Jesus Luzardo does not get bothered by it whatsoever, retires the side basically to get out of that jam. Bottom 6th, Phillies get more base runners. Trey Turner with a single, Bryce Harper with a walk. Then JT flies out, advances Turner to third, but then Bohm strikes out looking on a pitch that completely fooled him down the middle of the plate. Then David Robertson comes in for the top of the 7th inning, allows the leadoff shot to Suarez to make it 3-2 Phillies. Then he gets the next 2 guys out. Then J.P. Crawford walks, which welcomes in Tanner Banks to face Raley, the pinch hitter. He strikes him out on 4 pitches, so good stuff there from Tanner Banks. Then you go to that bottom of the 7th inning where the Phillies really break it open. Marsh with a leadoff walk. Bader hit by a pitch. This is all against the left-handed pitcher, by the way. Kepler lines out, which moves Marsh over to third. Bryson Stott with a single the other way, which kind of looked like it caught Eugenio Suarez in between, because I think Bader was running on the play, and they were going to do something to where I guess maybe they were going to try to get Marsh in between at third base and home or something like that. Well, the hit the other way caught Suarez in between. It gets by him, goes down the left field line, which scores a run, and it makes it 4-2 Phillies. Then Trey Turner reaches on an infield single where it goes off of the pitcher's glove and just in a completely different direction to where the infielders were, so everybody is safe because of that. It becomes 5-2. Trey Turner eventually steals second base. The Phillies were just running all over the bases, stealing wise in this series against Seattle's pitching. Then Kyle Schwarber with the RBI single that scores 2. There was also a throwing error by the right fielder, which it kind of looked like Trey Turner was going to be thrown up by a mile, but the throw completely sailed over Cal Raleigh's head, and he scored because of it. So it's 7-2 Phillies after that. Bryce Harper with a single that scores another run, makes it 8-2, and that's where basically the inning would end after that. Bottom of the 8th, the Phillies would put more runs on the board with 2 outs. Kepler with a 1-out double. Trey Turner reached on an infield single, which allowed Kepler to score because he advanced to third on a Bryson Stott groundout. Then you get the Kyle Schwarber 2-run shot that barely gets over the fence. It looked like a fan interfered with it at first, but it went over the fence, so it is a home run for Kyle Schwarber. Becomes 11-2 Phillies. So crazy stuff there. Joe Ross in the 9th inning. You had Jose Alvarado in the 8th to do their jobs, and that's basically what happened right there. Go to the Phillies lineup today. Trey Turner had a fantastic series overall. He was 5 for 6 today with 2 RBIs and 3 runs scored. Kyle Schwarber was 3 for 5 with 5 RBIs tonight, and with the 2-run shot as well. 2 runs scored for him. Bryce Harper went 1 for 3 with an RBI and 3 walks. JT Realmuto continues to hit. He went 1 for 4 with a walk. Alec Bohm went 1 for 5 with 3 strikeouts. Brandon Marsh 1 for 4 with a run scored and a walk. Harrison Bader 2 for 4. Max Kepler 3 for 5. He had a good day at the office with a solo shot. And then Bryson Stott also had a fantastic day. 3 for 5 with 2 RBIs. The Phillies went 8 for 22 with runners in scoring position. That's how many chances, that's how many base runners they basically had in every single inning of today's game. They had 20 hits. So how many hits did the Phillies have in totality in this series? I think they had, like 21 hits on Monday. So you combine that with today, that's that's 41. And then how many hits did they have in yesterday's ball game? What was it, like 6 or 7 or something like that? It was definitely nowhere close to 20 plus. I think they had so they had 7, so they had 48 hits in totality of this entire series, and they scored a bunch of runs. And the starting pitching was very good as well. So if you just look at Jesus Luzardo's stat line, 6 innings, 3 hits, 1 earned run, no walks, which is very important, 12 strikeouts, and the only blemish basically on his stat sheet was the solo shot to Julio Rodriguez in the top of the first inning, 89 pitches, 65 strikes, was getting a lot of swing and misses from the Mariners, so good stuff there. The Mariners struck out 17 times in today's game. David Robertson, he came in, he allowed a solo shot to Suarez, then allowed a walk, then Banks had to come in to finish the job. Alvarado, he struck out 1 on 14 pitches in the 8th inning of work. Joe Ross, he allowed a hit, but struck out 2 in the 9th inning of work, 12 pitches for him. And just overall, it was a very good series by the Philadelphia Phillies. They're now 74 and 53, 21 games above 500. And in terms of the standings, just to see where everything is, right now there's 6 games above the New York Mets for first place, all guaranteed to what happens with the Mets in this game against the Washington Nationals. They're currently tied at 1-0, or tied 0-0, in the top of the 3rd with 2 outs, and Francisco Lindor is currently at the plate in an 0-2 count against Brad Lord, it looks like, who is pitching for the Nationals. I have the game on in the background on MLB TV. So, it's just crazy. It is absolutely crazy. The pitchers get so many strikeouts. The Phillies this is probably their best overall series of the season, I guess you could say, just from every facet of the game, except for a couple of areas, mainly because of Kerkering yesterday with Romano the other net as well. But overall, I think in a general collective combination of everything, this is probably the Phillies' best played series of the season. Probably nothing's going to top it, just with the way they were scoring offensively and the way the starters were pitching. It was just a really good series. There's really no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And they took care of business, and they won a series against a team that was, fighting for first place in the American League West with the Seattle Mariners. They're a game and a half behind the Astros right now, who the Astros are also slumping a little bit. So Seattle really didn't lose ground on them. They just basically stayed the same from where they're at. Yeah, so very good series overall, and it's a good thing. But the Phillies still have to take care of business when you have the Washington Nationals coming up. It also does make me feel a little bit better to where, as soon as you get the announcement from Zach Wheeler's, absence with the whole blood clot situation, that you got some people in your starting rotation that did step up. I would like to see Aaron Nola step up now. From that fact, you saw Christopher Sanchez step up. He was very good yesterday. You saw Ranger Suarez step up. He was very good on Monday as well. And you saw Jesus Luzardo step up, who was very good in today's game. Now, granted, you don't know what you're going to get from Luzardo every single start because it's basically just a flip of a coin. Because he has the ability to go 6, 7 shutout innings or less than 2 earned run ball with a lot of strikeouts, or he goes 4 or 5 innings and he's allowing at least 4 or 5 earned runs because you just can't predict what he's going to do. And then with Christopher Sanchez, you know what you're getting at this point. This version of Ranger Suarez was better on Monday, but still right now, second half Ranger. You just can't guarantee what you're getting, but hopefully it's more like what he provided on Monday, and that would make me feel a lot better. Really need to see what Aaron Nola is like in his second start. Really need to see that because his second start's going to be on Saturday evening at 6 o'clock against the Washington Nationals, who tore him up in that third inning on Sunday. So really need to see Aaron Nola provide something. Need be to like, hey guys, like, okay, that was a one-time thing right there. Coming off of, I just came back from injury, haven't pitched in major leagues for a while. Let's just throw that one in the trash. This time, I got you. This time, I got you. I'm back. I'm Aaron Nola. I'm the guy that you can normally rely on in most cases. We don't have our aces off the mount, our aces on the shelf, and all that stuff. We need to got to step up here. Everybody here collectively has to step up, and that's Aaron Nola included because Taijuan Walker, he's been doing his job, every time his number has been getting called, but realistically, that's someone you can't rely on every single time. You really need a guy like Aaron Nola to step up because if Aaron Nola steps up, then you have a little bit more confidence in that rotation that got significantly weaker without Zach Wheeler. So, really need to see a good performance from Aaron Nola this weekend. Really, it's basically mandatory at this point. It really just is. So yeah, there's some other stats that definitely were interesting coming out of this. So if we look at Bryson Stott, this was from Jeff Kerr. Bryson Stott is batting 299 since the All-Star break, and he's batting up to 356 in August. So Bryson Stott has been very good this month. Kyle Schwarber, he's on pace for 57 home runs and 139 RBI this season. Most home runs through 127 games in Phillies history is Kyle Schwarber, one and ahead of Ryan Howard with 44. And here's a stat from Ben Silver on Trey Turner. Trey Turner, over his last 7 games, he's batting .618. He's 21 for 34. So that just shows how much of a hot streak Trey Turner has been on. And yeah, a lot of people complain about Trey Turner's production. It's singles, single, 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 maybe the occasional extra base hit here and there, but it's like single, 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 single. If the dude's getting on base and he's being a pest on the base paths, he's being successful there. Yeah, I would like to see more power from Trey Turner, but he has clearly changed his approach to where he's not fully relying on power or trying to do too much with power. He's just trying to get on base as much as possible, whether that's a dinky single or whether that's an extra base hit or something like that, or a walk. So Trey Turner's on a heater right now. He definitely was cold for a little bit in that beginning stretch of August, but he definitely looks like he's turning it up a little bit. He's definitely one of those people that have stepped up in the loss of Zach Wheeler, which there's been a couple of bats that have been doing that since Zach Wheeler had to go on the shelf. Kyle Schwarber's always going to be Kyle Schwarber. JT Realmuto has been fantastic this month. Trey Turner starting to heat it up as well. Bryson Stott obviously has been fantastic this month. Brandon Marsh has been, very good since coming back from the IL a couple of months ago. Bryce Harper looks like he's starting to figure it out once again with the bat. So we'll just see where this takes us because we still know with this team that the cold spurt is eventual. It's going to happen at some point, like it did last week with Cincinnati and the Washington Nationals. So is this just a week where the Phillies offense is just insanely hot, or is this something that is very sustainable for this team? Now, granted, having 20 plus hits in every game is not sustainable whatsoever. That's just completely unrealistic. But can they just be a consistent offense that finds a way to score a bunch in every game? I don't know. I don't know right now. And can the starting pitching pitch as good as it was in the series against Seattle? We just got to wait and see. got to wait and see on that factor. So it's just something to look at about. It definitely is. But it was a very good series from this Philly squad. Definitely a very good series, and nothing should be taken away from that. Nothing should be taken away from that whatsoever. And if just going back to looking at the standings, in terms of the overall league, the Phillies are the third best team in baseball in terms of record-wise. 5.5 behind the best team, which is the Milwaukee Brewers, who are actually losing some games. They actually, I think, got swept in the doubleheader by the Cubs. So maybe the Brewers are starting to become human again. Not entirely sure. The Tigers, they're one game better than the Phillies at 76 and 53. They're on a 3-game winning streak. So Phillies on a 4-game winning streak right now, including that final win against Washington. Can we just turn this into a big winning streak? If you can win 6 in a row, you can win the first 2 against Washington, maybe push that into winning 6 in a row, or, maybe winning 7 in a row or something like that. That would be very nice. But that would also make me very scared going into the series against the Mets, because right now both teams are very hot, and then one team is going to have to lose at that point. That would very much scare me. I'm just being honest, because the Phillies' just history in general at Citi Field is not very good. And just overall history-wise against the New York Mets, the Phillies just have not been good lately against this New York Mets team in the past few years. So it's just that thing lingering in the back of my mind. So yeah, you have the National Series upcoming after the day off tomorrow. Then you go to Queens against the Mets. All those games are 7 o'clock. You'll have Christopher Sanchez, Jesus Luzardo, and Taijuan Walker set up for those series. Christopher Sanchez against Kodai Senga, Jesus Luzardo against Sean Manaea, and then Taijuan Walker against Nolan McLean. So we'll see where that entirely goes. After the Mets series, you play 4 games at home against the Atlanta Braves to wrap up August. Then you have a big series at the start of September against the Milwaukee Brewers. Then you go to Miami. Then you have a big 4-game series at home against the Mets, the final time you'll see them this season. Then you play Kansas City at home. Then you go out to the West Coast for the last time. Dodgers and the Arizona and Diamondbacks. And then you play the final 2 series of the year at home against Miami and the Minnesota Twins. 2 teams that, that's honest to God where the standings could be at that point. That could be a chance to where you wrap up the division or something like that, but I'm not guaranteeing shit. Not guaranteeing shit with the division right now, because you still got to play the Mets, and things can turn on a dime right there when you're playing at the division rival that you're fighting with the division for. So right now, you're 6 games up on the Mets, depending on what the Mets do in this last game, or this game right here against Washington, as the Nationals are threading with some base runners. One guy just almost grounded into a double play. So right now he was safe at first, and it's first and third, bottom of the 3rd inning against Kodai Senga. So we'll see with the Nats if they can get some runs on the board right here. So we'll see. We will see. Yep, that man was safe. So you have first and third against Kodai Senga right now. So good stuff from the Phils. Good stuff from the Phils. There was really nothing else that came out about from this game. Jose Alvarado obviously came back. He looked like Jose Alvarado, obviously. High velocity, stuff all over the place, but he managed to get the job done. He kind of dominated at that point. Still with Jose Alvarado, they're going to use him, obviously, because it provides depth for their bullpen and probably can give some guys some extra rest for days when they don't need to use some guys. But it definitely was clearly evident that they don't want to use him right now in high leverage spots, which was because they originally had Matt Strahm up in the bullpen in that bottom of the 7th inning before the Phillies broke it open, and then Strahm sat down, Alvarado started pitching and all that stuff. So clearly right now they don't think Alvarado's in a spot to where he could be pitching in high leverage. So, which kind of makes sense. He hasn't pitched in a long time. So we'll see where that takes us. And yeah, day off tomorrow. Still debating on if I want to do the wrestling talk tomorrow, because probably will, just because there was the big news with the whole ESPN thing now going on with WWE. That is official, that WWE PLEs are going to be transitioning to the new ESPN direct-to-consumer app that they're releasing tomorrow. That's going to be starting with the first PLE in September. So Clash of Paris is going to be the last PLE on Peacock. So that's a whole crazy thing right there, and how it affects everything, because the prices are just fucking insane. They just are. If you're not a provider, that ESPN will give that service to you for free, because there's some services they'll give it to you for free, there's some that won't. So it's definitely an interesting thing right there. So that's probably something that we could talk about tomorrow or something, if I do have the time. But yeah, We don't have any voicemails on the Anytime hotline, no text, so get you guys in the chat. Then we get ended off a little bit early here today. Wanted to get the recap, later on because I was working, obviously, during the Phillies game. Russ decided to do his stream like a little bit over halfway past the Phillies game. So definitely interesting to see where everything's going there. But yeah. Overall, it was a very good series by the Phillies. Have no complaints. I just hope they can keep it up. Not really going to go through, the long view point and all that stuff. And now the Nationals have bases loaded against Senga with C.J. Abrams coming up to the plate. 1 out still. Kodai Senga is literally all over the place right now. They're bringing the translator out and the pitching coach, it looks like. So that is definitely interesting right there. Let's see. What else is there? Interesting. The next Saturday Night main event will take place on November 1st, streaming exclusively on Peacock. Interesting. So, obviously, Saturday night's main event's going to stay on Peacock. So that's an interesting thing right there. Maybe instead of broadcasting it on NBC, maybe they'll just do it exclusively on Peacock, to where John Cena's last match is supposed to be on Saturday Night main event. Maybe they'll keep that on Peacock, to where they don't have to go into an abundance of fucking commercials to interrupt his goddamn farewell speech, like they did with the goddamn Goldberg. Hopefully that's the case. Get to you guys in the chat right here while I watch to see what this Nationals team does with the bases loaded against Kodai Senga. See what the Nats do. First pitch to CJ, takes that for a ball. Right now, Senga's all over the place with his command. The big dumper who, Shohei Ohtani where, Aaron Judge when. Broskies, we are so back until we aren't. At the point we won't be back until we back. So we're back until we're back until we're back until we're not back until we're somewhat back at this point. Yeah, that's the Phillies. That is that comment right here by Austin. That is the perfect summary of the Phillies. It really just is. Frank, it's Kyle Schwarber. Pay that man. Schwarber hitting nukes. It's Mr. Single Straight Turner going 5 for 6. It's Mad Max Kepler not being useless. It's Jesus Luzardo dealing and having 12 Ks. 2-1 the count right now to C.J. Abrams. Can't forget about the best catcher in baseball and the best catcher in baseball in JT or best closer in baseball in JT and Duran. Yep. That J-Rod swing was reminiscent of Vlad Guerrero Sr. when he would swing at pitches that nearly bounce or did bounce. That's crazy. Up chopper from C.J. Abrams that will score a run, and he is also safe at first base. So bases are still loaded for the Nats, and they have a 1-0 lead. And Josh Bell is coming to the plate against Kodai Senga. One swing from Josh Bell could turn the game on its head. We'll see. 48 hits this series and 34 strikeouts from the starting pitching. Yeah, they were just on completely different levels this series. Phillies need to replicate his level of dominance against the Mets in order to build the division lead. Oh yeah, they need to. They really just need to. But right now, you just can't guarantee that from them, so you gotta take it one series at a time. Oh, here we go. NBC confirms that all Saturday night main events shows will now stream exclusively on Peacock moving forward. That includes John Cena's last match. A liner from Josh Bell that'll be an out at center field, but it'll also be a sacrifice fly. It is 2-0 Nationals. Interesting. But the Nationals have a 2-0 lead. So, see if they can score more. But yeah, I think that'll do it for today, everybody. So, still debating if I want to do the wrestling thing tomorrow. So we'll just wait and see. We'll play it by ear, see where everything goes. Because I know I'm going to have to do some editing tomorrow for Brodes and Russ. Because I think Russ is planning on doing his wrestling pod for once. For the first time in fucking eons. Then Hunter's not doing it. Well, Brodes is not doing his Phillies pod until later on. Even though he's not doing the Phillies pod, he's posting his WYP show. And that he's not on until 11. So it's going to be a little bit late from him. So I'm probably not going to be doing a lot until tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be a busy day. That's basically the summary of that entire thing. Tomorrow's going to be busy. I guess thank God my trainer canceled my gym session tomorrow. So I'll just focus on work. But yeah. Good series for the Phillies. We'll see where things go from here. Like I said, we'll play by ear. We'll do a wrestling talk show tomorrow just to gets, just a barroom conversation type of thing, talking about, WWE and all that stuff. So we'll see. We'll see. You'll see something in your subscription feed if something pops up. So, appreciate y'all for tuning in as always. Don't forget to leave a comment in the comment section down below. Don't forget to drop a like. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It does me a great deal of service. And also use the code TTP Sports, $20 off your first purchase at SeatGeek. Great deal. Don't pass